An invitation for parentified parents and health seekers. You give so much love to the world, but who's caring for you? If you're a parent, healer, or nurturer who pours into everyone except yourself, if you've tried everything, plant-based eating, sobriety, ditching sugar and synthetic meds, but still feel exhausted, inflamed, or stuck in disease, I see you, and I want you to know it's not your fault. What if your mental fog, chronic pain, or mysterious symptoms aren't a life sentence, but a signpost, a signal that your body is crying out against the toxins and trauma it's stored since birth? I used to think my arthritis was genetic. It was fungal, rooted in mold. My insomnia was just stress. My nervous system was drowning in inflammation. My anxiety was chemical. My environment was poisoning me, and I was blaming myself. Then I learned you can heal the same conditions that made you sick. This is life-saving medicine that I share from my life-saving lifestyle medicine toolbox that I've been using since the 80s. I started lifestyle medicine when I saw my mom taking medicine, and it just made her much, much worse. Always in the bathroom. Her moods were never predictable, and we lived in a very tense home. There is hope. I've used lifestyle medicine to reverse the damage of mold illness, misdiagnosed as menopause or mental illness, chronic inflammation masked as aging or normal, toxic overload from our home's food, and even unhealed trauma. Healing is possible, it looks like. 8 hours of deep sleep, even in a heat wave. No fan is needed. We're currently in a heat wave in Canada's capital, and I haven't turned a fan on yet. My son and his girlfriend who live with me, I'm so blessed because when I was in crisis last fall with life-threatening leaky muscle, I couldn't get out of a tub. I couldn't turn on faucets. I was choking in my sleep, and I was needing a cane to walk. This strong personal trainer was working out after COVID and cleaning a hoarded home, and got very, very sick very, very quickly. When you start having 2 to 3 peaceful bowel movements a day after you eat, it matters. That's how you know you're starting to heal and you're removing the toxins out of your body when we detox mold and trauma. You will have a calm nervous system, no more fight or flight on a toxic planet. When you wake up, do you just get up and go? Are you just all ready to attack the day? Do you know what calm feels like? Can you read a book? Are you distracted easily? Do you distract your depression with many addictions? Social media, scrolling, video games for hours, never going for a walk, never connecting with other souls, just staying in your cave. When we detox our bodies, our homes, and our buried pain, the fog lifts, clarity returns. The truth, inflamed hearts distort our reality, but healed hearts see clearly. This is why I do not engage with anybody who I can clearly see has mold illness. When I ask somebody how they're feeling and they say they're fine, I know they're not fine. They're just keeping on going, and perhaps they were a parentified child, and now they're a parentified parent, doing the best they can, working long hours, multiple jobs, and feeling the stress while not sleeping well, and dealing with chronic health issues. For me, I was bleeding internally, vomiting blood, and having thin not S-shaped stools. And these were colon cancer symptoms along with chronic fatigue and some other things as well. I also suffered with mental health struggles all my life, wanting to expire before I desired. And this was despite leading a life with love and youthful energy and compassion for all. It was my environment. I lived in low-income housing, military housing. I had these thoughts since I was 5. I started an eating disorder when I was 5. And every full moon, I was never able to sleep. Let's begin. If you're ready to stop surviving and start thriving, I'll give you the tools. No shame, no dogma, just radical compassion and science-backed steps. One breath, one choice, one healed heart at a time. Subscribe for free resources at These Dharmas Digest. Links in my bio to YouTube and Substack. Substack is our newsletter. And you will find our completed 40-day Leaky Body series for resources so you can begin healing your body too. Next up is our 40-day nervous system reset filled with nourishing tools to calm your body so you can have a calm, cool summer. This podcast will help you identify whether you are a parentified child as well and why you were addicted to many things and love deeply many narcissists.
You know that feeling when you're always the responsible one, taking care of everyone else while drowning your emotions in comfort food? Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating psychological pattern that affects millions: the connection between being a parentified child, attracting narcissists, and using food as emotional comfort. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why these patterns are connected and how to break free from them.
And it's such a crucial topic because these patterns often work together in a cycle that can be really hard to break without understanding the underlying dynamics.
Let's start with parentification. What exactly happens when a child is forced to become the parent?
Well, according to recent research, parentification occurs when a child is forced to take on adult responsibilities, either emotional or practical. This could mean managing household tasks, caring for siblings, or even providing emotional support to their parents.
That sounds overwhelming for a child to handle.
It absolutely is. Psychology Today reports that about 30% of youth globally experience some form of parentification. These children often develop what we call premature maturity. They appear incredibly capable on the outside, but internally, they're carrying an enormous burden.
And how does this affect them later in life?
The effects can be profound. Research shows these individuals often struggle with boundaries, have difficulty maintaining healthy relationships, and experience chronic anxiety and depression in adulthood.
That's fascinating, and it leads perfectly into the next pattern, the attraction to narcissists. Is there a connection?
There absolutely is. Recent studies indicate that parentified individuals often become prime targets for narcissistic partners because they're already programmed to prioritize others' needs above their own.
Can you break down how that works?
According to current research, narcissists follow a specific pattern in relationships. They start with what's called love bombing, showering their target with excessive attention and affection.
And I imagine that feels pretty good to someone who's spent their whole life taking care of others.
Exactly. Studies show that narcissists are particularly skilled at identifying people with caretaking tendencies. They observe their targets carefully before making their approach.
That's actually pretty chilling when you think about it.
It is. And here's where it gets really interesting. The same reward centers in the brain that light up during narcissistic love bombing are also activated when we turn to comfort foods.
Wait, what? They trigger the same brain response?
Yes, research shows that both experiences release dopamine and serotonin, our feel-good chemicals. It's why both can become addictive coping mechanisms.
So when someone's dealing with the emotional fallout of parentification and narcissistic relationships,
they often turn to comfort foods as a way to self-medicate. Studies indicate that foods high in sugar, fat, or salt can temporarily elevate mood by stimulating the brain's reward system.
It's like a perfect storm of coping mechanisms.
Exactly. And what's particularly challenging is that these patterns tend to reinforce each other. The more stressed someone becomes, the more likely they are to seek comfort in food.
How does that reinforcement work?
Recent studies show that highly palatable foods trigger chemical reactions in the brain's reward circuit similar to addictive drugs. This can lead to a cycle of emotional eating to cope with stress.
That's really eye-opening. But what can people do to break these patterns?
The first step is recognizing these patterns exist. According to mental health professionals, awareness is crucial for beginning the healing process.
And then what?
Research indicates that learning to set healthy boundaries is essential. This applies to both relationships and our relationship with food.
That must be especially challenging for someone who never learned how to set boundaries as a child.
Absolutely. Recent studies show that parentified children often struggle with feeling guilty when they put their own needs first.
How do they start to overcome that guilt?
According to psychologists, it starts with small steps, setting one boundary at a time, practicing self-care, and learning to recognize their own emotional needs.
And what about the food aspect?
Research shows that understanding the emotional triggers for comfort eating is key. It's not about willpower, it's about addressing the underlying emotional needs.
That makes so much sense.
And here's something fascinating. Studies indicate that as people heal from parentification and learn to set boundaries, their relationship with food often naturally improves.
Really? How does that work?
When people start addressing their emotional needs directly instead of through food or caretaking others, the brain begins forming new neural pathways for coping with stress.
That's incredible. The brain can actually rewire itself?
Yes, research confirms that neuroplasticity allows us to form new patterns even in adulthood. It's never too late to start healing.
What's the first step someone should take if they recognize these patterns in themselves?
According to mental health professionals, seeking therapy with someone who specializes in childhood trauma and attachment issues is crucial.
And while they're working on finding a therapist?
Studies show that simply starting to journal about emotional triggers and patterns can be incredibly helpful. It creates awareness of when and why these behaviors occur.
That seems like something anyone could start doing right away.
Exactly. And research indicates that even small steps towards self-awareness can create significant positive changes over time.
Let's talk about the warning signs. How can someone recognize if they're in a narcissistic relationship?
Recent studies identify several key patterns: love bombing followed by devaluation, constant need for admiration, and lack of empathy for their partner's needs.
And what about parentification? How do adults recognize if they were parentified?
According to psychologists, common signs include feeling responsible for others' emotions, difficulty saying no, and chronic anxiety about others' well-being.
Those patterns must be so ingrained by adulthood.
They are, but research shows that understanding these patterns is the first step to changing them. Knowledge really is power in this case.
And how does someone start to recognize their relationship with food might be problematic?
Studies indicate that using food primarily for emotional comfort rather than hunger, feeling guilt after eating, and using food to cope with stress are key warning signs.
It's amazing how these three patterns, parentification, narcissistic relationships, and emotional eating, can all interconnect.
Yes, and recent research shows that addressing one area often creates positive changes in the others. It's like pulling one thread that helps unravel the whole knot.
That's actually really hopeful.
It is. And studies show that people who understand these connections are more likely to seek appropriate help and make lasting changes.
What's the most important thing for our listeners to remember?
According to mental health professionals, it's that these patterns aren't their fault, and they can be changed with the right support and understanding.
That's such a crucial message.
And research consistently shows that healing is possible at any age. It's never too late to start developing healthier patterns.
What's one small step someone could take today?
Studies suggest starting with simple self-awareness exercises, like noting when you feel compelled to take care of others or turn to food for comfort.
Just noticing the patterns without judging them?
Exactly. Research shows that non-judgmental awareness is a powerful first step in breaking these cycles.
This has been incredibly insightful. Any final thoughts?
Remember that healing isn't linear. Studies show that progress often comes in waves, and that's completely normal.
Thank you for sharing all this valuable information. And to our listeners, remember, recognizing these patterns is the first step toward changing them.
And according to research, even small steps toward change can create significant improvements in quality of life.